This is FBG Jen.
And FBG Kristen.
And I'm FBG Margot, host and producer. You're listening to the podcast that will help you keep a lid on the junk in the trunk and inspire you to live a happy and confident life.
Each episode, we chat with motivational experts and celebs and share our own candid adventures in being healthy.
If you're looking for a podcast that's equal parts hilarious and enlightening, well then welcome to the Fit Bottomed Girls podcast.
Welcome back to the Fit Bottomed Girls podcast. This is FBG Margot, and on the line today, we have FBG Jen.
Oh.
And we have FBG Kristen.
Hey.
And today's guest that we're talking to is Hannah Williams. She has a show. It's a collaboration between BuzzFeed and NBC Universal. It's a show called Mom in Progress, and she's a young millennial mom with 2 young boys. She works full time, and then she does this show part time, for BuzzFeed. And in this interview, which you guys are going to love her. She's so down to earth and super funny. And Jen, can you tell us what exactly is a wine mom?
I'd say a wine mom is my spirit animal, but I think I just am a wine mom. So Hannah, who after that interview, seriously, I was like, are we all best friends now? Because I think we're best friends now. And she was like, yeah, we're best friends now. She was just so great to talk to and so easy to talk to. But she did this other video before she did this Mom in Progress series that was about being a wine mom. And we'll include the link to the video in the show notes here. But it's super funny. It's short, but it's basically just her sitting on her couch, like in sweatpants. She's like, you might be a wine mom if, you like the moment you cannot wear a bra, like you take your bra off and you don't really care about what you're wearing as long as there's like elastic in the pants and you can sit on the couch comfortably and you are super happy to basically reward yourself after a long day with she's like a glass and a half of wine that you just sit and you enjoy and you don't really want to get up or do anything. It's all just progress, like not perfection, just doing your thing, hanging out, being chill. And she's like, you don't even have to be a mom to be a wine mom. You can just prefer sweatpants and your hair in a messy bun over looking nice and having a clean house. It's basically a really funny way of just being like, sometimes it doesn't matter if your house is clean or if you have makeup on or if your hair is done or anything. A lot of days you are just totally fine to be comfortable and have a glass of wine and watch TV. And that's a great, awesome evening. So would you guys also consider yourselves
Oh, I
wine
totally
moms?
am.
Yeah. I love a good pair of sweatpants. I mean, a good pair of sweatpants.
It depends on the day. Some days, 100%. That is my, idyllic evening. And I think that's a lot of people too. There are some times when I'm like, no, I actually really want to leave the house because I work from here all day, every day. So there are times when I'm like, no, I actually would like an excuse to brush my hair and put on makeup and wear something that isn't stretchy.
True, yep. True. And sometimes I just do it at home. Like today I have a full face of makeup on just because I felt like, I don't know, I just got to dress myself up a little bit. But believe me, by the end of the evening, I am ready for a glass of wine and my PJs. My flannel pajama bottoms are like everything in the world to me.
How long? I have a couple pairs of sweatpants that I've had for, 7 or 8 years. And I'm never getting rid of them.
No.
They're so comfortable. They last forever.
Yeah, no, I have yoga pants like that. They're always comfy. You can kind of make it look kind of dressed up if you partner it with a nice cardigan or something. But no, I'm not giving it up. No way.
No, I've got yeah. I've got ones that you would think if I put it on with a baggy T-shirt. You know how you always see celebrities and they're they never look dressed up. They're always in baggy stuff. So I'm like, well, I'm just dressed like a celebrity who's going incognito. Not really.
I think they spend so much time in hair and makeup every day for their jobs. I mean, I bet it's just on the weekends and when on their free time, they're just screw it. I just don't want to deal. I don't even want to put a brush through my hair. I can imagine.
Right. Right. I totally get it. But Hannah is definitely a wine mom, and this interview with her is really, really fun. And she gets into kind of how the series came about, the meaning behind it, and she does some really hilarious things with her kids. Almost all of them are just like a little kind of experiment that she does with her kids. Like she lets her kids do her makeup for a few days, and the results of that are hilarious because she has two young boys, and I think, spoiler, they like the heavy makeup. Well, that's pretty funny. And it kind of reminds, we did a show a few weeks ago that we aired with Kyle Hepp that had the you do you mom philosophy, and Hannah kind of echoes that as well in just a really hilarious way.
And you need to look her up on BuzzFeed, Mom in Progress, Hannah Williams, because she has this teal blue hair that I covet. It's so beautiful. And we talk about that in this interview. And you and I, we were talking off the air about BuzzFeed, and it's such a funny combination of like serious news and weird quizzes. And Jen, you found something. It was the Harry Potter from the point of view of Hermione.
Yeah, it was. So BuzzFeed does do a lot of like stupid things, but they also do some really, really good things, I think. And this is one that ran, oh my gosh, it ran so long ago. It actually ran in 2015, but it's one that every time I watch Harry Potter, which is kind of often, I like Harry Potter a lot, but I always think about it when I watch Harry Potter, and it's called If Hermione Were the Main Character in Harry Potter. And it's like, the subhead is Hermione Granger and the goddamn patriarchy, and it is just like straight up hilarious. I'll make sure we put the link in there because it is in the show notes, because it is a delightful, it is a long, in-depth read. Like, this writer spent a lot of time going like scene by scene through the Harry Potter story and telling it from her point of view, but it's choice, man. It's great.
Yeah, we'll definitely put that into the show notes. And if you guys love the show, you like the show, love the show, please subscribe, because that way you'll never miss an episode, and wherever you get your podcasts. And by the way, we're on Spotify now. We're on the Alexa. Like, we're moving on up in the world. And if you have any comments or suggestions, please email us, and guest suggestions, subject ideas, please send them to us. We are at podcast@fitbottomedgirls.com. And going back to the review part, if you're in Apple Podcasts, if you leave a 5-star review, please leave a review there. We will read your 5-star review, on the air. So thank you guys so much, as always, for checking us out. And let's just get right into our interview today with Hannah Williams. Hannah Williams is a creative lead for the branded Tasty team and stars in BuzzFeed and NBC's new show, Mom in Progress. When she's not capturing her relatable takes on the messy, imperfect side of motherhood, Hannah develops and creates narratives and formats for Tasty's large, long-term client partnerships. Prior to BuzzFeed, she worked at Taste of Home and was one of the original mommy bloggers. She lives in Los Angeles with her husband and 2 boys, Jackson and Wyatt. She is our guest today. Welcome to the show, Hannah. This is FBG Margot, and we have FBG Jen on the line. And I'm going to ask you the first question. I loved watching your first episode when you let your sons pick your own makeup for a week. And the best part for me was reading in the comments how many other moms have done the same thing. So how does it feel to live your life so publicly?
To me, it doesn't really feel like we're living it so publicly. It just kind of feels like a natural thing. And for me, it's just very realistic. And so it's those comments of moms relating to it and, you know, saying that they're trying the same things I'm trying and that it inspires them to do stuff. It makes me not even feel weird about letting it all out there, because with this show, all we want to do is make other moms feel a little bit better and make them feel like they can relate to something out there. So for me, I don't even really think about it.
Yeah, I would love to know a little bit more on how the whole series came about. I mean, Mom in Progress is definitely, that kind of gives you this sense of like, okay, we're talking about some realness here. This is not like a Pinterest perfect situation. This is real life. But how did it come about, and what was that inspiration?
It's so funny the way that this all came together, because I applied to BuzzFeed to be a food producer. There's a Facebook page called Tasty. You've probably seen a bunch of the videos on your newsfeed. But it was in its infancy at the time, and I applied to come help build that page. And so that was the role I took when I was hired on at BuzzFeed. you know, I'm so grateful for all the opportunities they've given me because they really taught me everything I know. And so that's still technically my job at BuzzFeed. I work on Tasty, but there aren't a lot of producer parents and not a lot of mom parents, and there weren't at the time that I started. And so I was talking to my old supervisor about my birthday, and he asked how it was, and I said, well, it was great. My mom got me 6 bottles of rosé. And he said, wow, your mom's pretty cool. Yeah, well, she's a wine mom too. And he's like, what's a wine mom? And he never heard of it. And I explained the wine mom life. And so he approached me and said, I want you to just try making a video for the YouTube channel as a wine mom and just seeing what happens. And so from there, it just evolved into all of a sudden I was making all this parenting content for BuzzFeed, and the series just, it kind of progressed organically into what it is now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Who knew?
So what's been the reaction from your family and friends? Are they checking out the show? What are they saying? And have you made any new friends from it?
Oh my gosh, yes. And I love to respond to all the comments, and I feel like we have this little community on Facebook too of all the people who watch the show, and we talk to each other, and also on Instagram. I've met a lot of moms through there and just connected with a lot of people. So I've made a lot of friends. My friends are really supportive of the show, and they're always sharing and watching. My parents are super excited about it. Some of the episodes, my entire family is actually in it. So they're all happy to be a part of it and just excited for what we're making.
So I know Margot talked about the episode where you let your kids put your makeup on you. Where does that idea come from, and where do all the other? Because some of the ideas are just so playful and I mean just inherently funny. They're kind of like comedic gold. Like, how did you come up with that?
Oh man, well, so at the end of each episode, we have a phone number that the audience can text, and they can offer suggestions for future episodes, or just respond to the current episode. And I go live on Instagram. I try to do it once a week to answer the text live, just because we get a lot. But that episode, the makeup one, was actually requested so many times in the text and in the comments. And so I'm not a makeup person, and so it's not something that I would have ever thought of trying, but that was kind of the audience request episode. So that's why we started the series with it.
That's awesome. So have there been any ideas you're just like, no, I'm not doing that?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I feel like people love to see you spend a crap ton of money. They're always like, give your kids $1,000 to spend at Target. And I'm like, I don't got that kind of flow. I'm not doing that. We do the cheap experiments in my house.
So what is a typical day like when you're filming? You know, do you have any rules about what you will and won't show on camera?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really hit a point where I've had to censor much. The season finale is actually probably the most emotional and raw episode. And I stopped vlogging for a few parts of that just because it's something that I always ask myself, if my kids are 18 and they're watching this, are they going to be super pissed at me? Mm-hmm. And so I try to not embarrass them too much. But a typical day is just, you know, our everyday life. I mean, my husband and I both work full time. So a lot of the vlogging is in the morning before school and before work, and then in the evening after, and the weekends. So it's pretty uncensored. I mean, no one wants to listen to a 40-minute tantrum, so I'm not going to film stuff like that. But there's not much that I have to, stop the camera for. And the kids are super excited to do it. Anytime I bring the phone out, they're like, oh, what are we doing now? It's been a really fun way for us to bond, and they get excited about seeing the finished product too when the video's all edited.
Aw, have you learned anything maybe new about your family or your kids since doing this?
Oh yeah, I mean that's kind of what spawned this. Is as a working mom, I was having a lot of trouble figuring out kind of a system that worked for us to have quality time and get all my stuff done that I need to do, and then feel like my kids are engaged and like they're getting everything they need from me. And so a lot of these experiments and these little trials for a week kind of resulted from me taking pieces from different parenting styles to see what works for us. And so by doing this, I found so many activities that we can do on weeknights, just so many things that we tried and the kids loved. And so we're doing it more often. Like I let my son make his own dinner one night, and it was the time of his life. So we do stuff like that more often, and we're just implementing a lot of these small activities into our everyday life. And so it's taught us a lot.
I love BuzzFeed, by the way. I read it every single day. I'm always checking on it. I think that must be such a great place to work. But what was your background like before you went to BuzzFeed? Where did you start writing and producing?
Well, I started writing actually on my mom blog that I had on Tumblr. When I had my first son, I was pretty young, and so I felt pretty isolated because none of my friends had kids. And I was kind of at this point in my career where it kind of threw a wrench in it, because I had one idea of what I wanted to do. I wanted to work in advertising. And then he showed up, and I'm like, well, I can't juggle this. And so I started writing and I started blogging, and I got a lot of traction on that blog. And from there, I started working for Taste of Home Cooking magazine, just dabbling in some digital for them and making videos and teaching myself, honestly. And then I saw the listing for the BuzzFeed job, and I had to apply because I'm like, this is my dream job. If I could get paid to do everything I love to do in my free time, that would be the dream. And so they, like I said, BuzzFeed brought me on, and they taught me everything I know about production and video. And I took every opportunity while at BuzzFeed to just learn and grow. And it's all been a result of that.
So when did you start your Tumblr, your mom blog Tumblr?
That was about 7 years ago.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you have if you're one of the, that's fairly original mommy blogs, right?
Yeah. OG.
Yeah. So how have you seen, I would love to just get your take on how you've seen mommy blogs change and evolve, and kind of the big question is, do you think that mommy blogs have been on the whole good for moms, or not so good for moms?
Well, they're definitely, when I was a blogger way back when, there were definitely a lot of mommy wars. That was kind of the time that it was running rampant, where everyone was just tearing each other apart. But I definitely think that motherhood has taken, the whole idea of it has changed so much with this, generation of millennial moms. And I think they're a lot more accepting and a lot kinder towards each other. And a lot of us, we're just trying to keep it all together. And I think there's that level of understanding that it's like, oh, you're trying, I'm trying, we're all trying. I always say, I'm the world's okayest mom. I do everything okay, and that's how I get by. So I think, I haven't been in that circle in so long, but I definitely think that things are changing. There's a lot more honesty out there. But that also was the point of this show. The purpose was to just give a really honest insight into parenthood and motherhood.
Do you struggle with trying to stay healthy and fit when you work full time and you're a mom, to these young boys? How do you make that work?
I don't know. It's so funny. I was doing a video last week, and the girl running sound to do the sound check asked me what I ate for breakfast. And I said, fruit snacks. Cause it is full time. You have your full-time job. You have your full-time parenting job. So I'm trying to find that balance. I'm getting there. And we try to do a lot of family activities together on the weekends, because that's we're weekend warriors. We're at work all day and they're at school all day. So that's kind of our time to shine. So living in Southern California, we're really lucky to have all these beautiful hikes and just gorgeous places to go. So we try to sneak that stuff in all together as much as we can.
What is the best and the worst parenting advice you've ever received?
Oh my gosh. The best parenting advice. Maybe I'll start with the worst because I got a lot of that. I mean, I think the worst advice overall has been just from anyone who has a very particular style, and then they're kind of pushing that on you in all of their advice. So, I mean, I've been told sleep when the babies sleep. You know, you should have them in their own crib from day one. You shouldn't nurse them to sleep. Just really polarizing advice like that it might work for one person, but who knows how it'll work for someone else. And then the best advice is probably from my own mom, who told me first and foremost, go easy on yourself. Moms, I feel like we have this mom guilt where everything just feels like our fault and like we're failing. And so she first told me to go easy on myself, and also just see what works. Try and see what works, because you never know how your kid's gonna come out. They're like a party favor goodie bag. You're like, oh, well, this one's full of candy and this one's full of pencils. Like, you don't know. You don't know what you're going to get. And honestly, having two boys, it's shocking to me how different two kids who came out of the same person can be.
Yeah. It's crazy. I like that, party favors. It's like party favors that change too. Like,
yeah.
You're like, oh, we're in that new phase. Okay, let's do that. Catch up. Like, okay, let's go.
Yep, we're there now. Didn't know that was happening, but we'll adjust.
Yep.
So I want to ask you about your hair. It's this beautiful teal color. Do you do it yourself? And what do your boys think of it?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, BuzzFeed colored my hair in a video. So that's how I got the blue hair. It was women coloring their hair for the first time. And so I thought, this is my one chance to do something just out of the box. And so I picked blue. My kids are obsessed. I don't think they remember what I looked like without it. But I used to do it myself. And since it's bleached, it was kind of easy to maintain and just color it myself. But you should see my bathroom. It looks like a Smurf exploded. So I just started going to get it done by the woman who actually colored it for the first time in the first video. So I just can go in and say, do what you think is right. And then it comes out the way it does.
That's awesome. So I'm curious, you were just talking about the different, your mom's advice to go easy on yourself. Mm-hmm. So what does that look like in real life for you? Like, how do you do that? How do you practice that?
Oh my gosh. Well, constantly all day, just because nothing goes smoothly. I think that's my biggest takeaway from becoming a mom is nothing's going to go according to plan. You could be all ready to leave and get out the door on time, and then one kid will poop their diaper. And it's just like, that's how it works. And, you have to go easy on yourself. So from morning till night, it's, I can oversleep and then I don't get upset and I go easy on myself if I just have to make toaster waffles for the kids for breakfast. Or, if I don't have time to pack my son's lunch and he has to buy at school, that's okay. And it's those little things that I try to forgive myself, because ultimately in the grand scheme of things, my kids aren't going to care if they had, a homemade breakfast every morning versus the toaster waffles that I'm making. That's not going to really make a difference or impact their life forever. So it's those little things I try to forgive myself for cutting corners.
Yeah. I was watching some sort of, gosh, it may have been BuzzFeed. Like when you see something in your feed and you're like, I have no idea where, how. We were just talking about mom brain before we went on. Yeah, mom brain. Like, when I saw this and it was like, hey, it's like, you feel like as a mom, like you didn't do anything today because like the house is still dirty and the dishes need to be done and no one has clean clothes and you kind of look like a hot mess, like, and your kid's half naked, like,
oh yeah.
And then it goes through and it like shows the mom doing all this stuff all day long. And it's just like, no, you kind of actually did a lot of things today. Like, maybe not the things that were on your list, but like, that doesn't mean that things didn't happen today, because a lot of them did.
Totally. I mean, there's this perfect, it's like a meme photo and it says, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like a mother of kids. And it's like, I just spent hours and the kitchen is completely spotless. And it's like a photo of this spotless kitchen. And then it says, meanwhile, in the living room, and it's just covered in toys, like covered in mess. And that's how it is. You're just constantly kind of doing damage control.
Yeah.
So you can only do so much.
So how does self-care work for you? How do you find time for Hannah? You know, what do you do when you need that?
Oh man, it's been a long journey because, you know, I think most moms out there understand that instinct to just keep going and giving until you have nothing left. And you feel guilty. I always felt guilty trying to take time for myself, especially working. You know, if I go take an hour to go on a walk by myself or something, I feel badly because that's time I could spend with the kids. But I've noticed that even if I just take little 15-minute things or little things for myself, it makes a world of difference in the quality of time the kids and I have together. So my me time is watching Dateline.
Yay.
So my husband will take the kids
Keith
out
Morrison?
of the house. Oh gosh, he's my hero.
Me too.
Oh God, he's a stunner. He's a fox. I love him.
Love him.
But yeah, my husband will take the kids out of the house for an hour, and I get to watch an episode of Dateline, and that's kind of my weekly reset. To just feel like I had some time to just mindlessly stare at something and not hear anything in the background.
That's good. So before I asked about the best and worst parenting advice that you've received, but is there a piece of parenting advice that you would like to give to fellow moms or dads?
Oh yeah. I mean, for me, the biggest learning I've had as a parent is that there's no one right way to do things. People can claim like left, right, all around that there's a specific right way to do something, but there isn't. And you just have to grow with your kid. And, you know, like we were saying, kids are like a goodie bag that changes. So, you know, you might be on one path and thinking that you have it down, and then just there's a huge roadblock and you have to completely veer to the side. And so just making sure that you, as a parent, we know what's best for our own kids. And so there's no one right way to do things.
What's been your favorite episode to put out so far?
Oh, definitely this last week's episode. I let my son plan his own birthday, and we went to Legoland. And it was way over budget, but we somehow made it work to take the trip and stay at the hotel. And my son talks about that trip nonstop. It was like the highlight of his year. We had a blast, and it was just giving him the control in that small way. Like I gave him the budget that I'd spend on a birthday party to just do what he wanted. It made it so much more special for him.
Will you do that again?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And we had kind of, the way that we pulled it off was we combined both their birthdays. But then, you know, second child, he kind of got the short end of the stick for that one. So he's going to plan his own. We're going to do it for him too.
It's cute.
With my youngest.
So Jen, do you have any more questions?
No, I think we're good for our last couple.
Yes. Yeah. So Hannah, first, please tell everybody where they can find you on social media and wherever you are in the universe. Well, not personally. I mean, the social media in your
Come
internet
to my
site.
house.
And the website.
We'll bring wine. It'll be fine.
Oh, girl, I got the wine. You just show up. The episodes air on the Playful Presents Facebook page and the BuzzFeed Video YouTube. And then on Instagram, I'm Hannah Lily Williams. And so I go live to answer questions from the episodes every week. And that's about as social as I get.
That's awesome. And so here's our real last question. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
What was the last song you listened to before you did this podcast interview?
Oh, gosh. It's Borns is the artist, and the song is called We Don't Care.
Oh.
Very
I know
cool.
Borns, but I don't know that. I'll have to look that up. That sounds good.
I bought the Born CD for a future episode that's coming out in the next couple weeks. So you can see why I bought it in there.
We don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Hannah, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you guys for having me. That was a blast. Did I do okay on my first podcast?
You did awesome.
Awesome. Just like a fun conversation. That's always what we want. Like, just have a good conversation.
Love this show? Tell us why in a 5-star review on iTunes and we'll read it on the air. Also, make sure you are a subscriber. If you want to reach out to say hi or have a question about a recent episode, yay, well, feel free to email us at podcast@fitbottomgirls.com. And if this podcast jives perfectly with your brand, consider sponsoring the show. Get more info by emailing advertising@fitbottomgirls.com. Find all kinds of Fit Bottom goodness online and on social media at Fit Bottom Girls, Fit Bottom Mamas, Fit Bottom Eats, and Fit Bottom Zen. And if books and movies are your thing, check out the other podcast I co-host called Book versus Movie, which you can find anywhere where you search for podcasts. Thanks for listening.